2019 during the, they were set in 2019 when Trump was still in office, and it was very obvious, both that administration and all subsequent administrations really do not understand the border at all. And like I said, I've lived all along the border, all my childhood and most of my adulthood, and it gets aggravating sometimes to hear the erroneous assumptions that pop up.
So what is it about the borders that a lot of people don't know or are not aware of?
Sure. If you take a little snapshot of history in the past and then bring it forward to the present, I think it's really relatable. In 1852, the United States invaded Mexico and took, I would say, 3/4 of the land that's now Texas without remediation or without permission. So that started the whole conflict. The border was about 400 miles north of where it is now, and a vast amount of West Texas, South Texas, and North Texas was part of Mexico. But they saw an opportunity. Mexico was a brand new republic, having severed its ties with Spain and got out from under the Napoleonic French influences, and they grabbed it. Bringing it forward, we can see ever since the original Bush administration, we have been tampering in the governments from Mexico, Central America, and South America, causing a lot of chaos and uncertainty in those countries. And subsequently, people don't want to live there where there's violence and uncertainty, and they move north seeking a better life. So we're morally obligated to clean up the mess that we started back in the 19th century and bringing it forward into the 20th and 21st century.
So BJ, you have 3 books, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So the first book is Hallelujah.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's the Requiem.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third book is
Reservoir. Mm-hmm.
Reservoir. And Reservoir is just coming out soon, correct?
Right, next week. Next
Okay.
Tuesday, the 26th.
So could you tell us a little bit about book 1 and book 2, and then leading into book 3, and how people can get all of these books?
Sure. You can find them on my website at www.Borderland Mysteries. And there they will lead you to the Amazon site that you can buy them. Hallelujah is the beginning, and it sets the main characters. If you looked at the video that we just played, it tells you all of the 4 U.S. Marshals and their leader, Gabriela Zamora. And then her second in command is Alex Ranslow. He's a Native American. Cynthia Beauvoir is a linguist and a CIA operative, and Sam De Silva is the IT specialist. And all of these marshals congregate in El Paso to solve a mystery between a tragic Border Patrol accident that occurred, and they're charged with solving the problem. Before Trump and the administration in Washington make a big deal out of this and begin to invade Mexico one more time again. So when they find out what the problem really is, that's the whole crux of the book. It resolves the issue. And the minute they resolve it, they go right into Requiem, which is set the furthest south of Texas in Boca Chica, along a really economically vibrant area. That area during NAFTA created a lot of trade opportunities in automotive, in cut and sew garments, in produce. And it's about the twin plants, the maquiladora, on both sides of the border and how goods are shipped between the borders to create finished goods that everybody enjoys, even in Canada. And it's a serial killer that threatens to disrupt the production of these plants that causes them to have to cross into Mexico and solve the problem of the serial killer and resolve the issue and restabilize the economy. And just as they get through with that, they go up the river a little way to Del Rio, to the Amistad Reservoir, which is a reservoir that was created with a dam to stop flooding issues on the Rio Grande. And in the process, when they built the dam in 1969, it flooded a vast area. And so now it's a big lake, if you will. And when they flooded that area, they covered up a lot of Indian artifacts. And the story is about Indian artifacts being stolen from under the water so that they can sell them. So that's the first three books in a nutshell. And it takes you from El Paso all the way down to South Texas and brings you back up the border in Del Rio.
Wow. So are these books based on real fiction, or are they
fiction?
They're fiction.
But they're based on the trials and tribulations of federal law enforcement along the border. Okay. And I think we can see this in today's news headlines with Uvalde and the mess that's occurred down there with competing groups of law enforcement people, so that when you bring them together, nothing gets accomplished and lives are lost.
Yeah.
This is just the repeating story that really needs to get fixed.
So now, are you selling these books in a series, like in a collection series, or are they individually sold?
They're individuals. I mean, They're very political. So if it's not your cup of tea, you
I love that. Because I always say it, I'm not everyone's cup of tea. And I love that you said that.
Right. And this is the way these books are. But that's the way it is.
So, BJ, by writing these books, what did you learn about yourself?
It took me back to memory lane quite a bit because my dad was a border patrolman until he was killed in the line of duty, when another administration decided they were going to commingle immigration and drug enforcement, and he died at the hands of a cartel. And that was in the Reagan administration. Nothing's really changed since then. So that's another reason for writing the books. Things really need to stop and be considered in a rational way.
Yeah. So do you feel that there's still a lot of changes that need to be made today?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. First, I think Americans need to come to grips with the reality of the borderland. And from that reality, and really understanding the economics and the people and the culture and the way in which we acquired that land so viciously, hopefully we can come together and establish fair and equitable immigration laws so that people can flow. When I was a child, we used to walk across the border all the time, buy commodities over there, bring them back. It flowed very well. I mean, it was just a point of departure. You come back, you go. And my father was a federal law enforcement person. He would, be friends with other federales across the border. It was all very happy.
Yeah. Now it's so political, right? It's so like it's so hard to even cross the border from Canada to United States.
It really used to go and buy sugar and everything across. And there's just really no need for it to be this way. Yeah. And now Trump has established these horrible walls that prevent people and wildlife from moving to and from. Got to come down, really, seriously.
Yeah. Why do wildlife need a passport to get across now?
They're stopped, and as a result, there's no migration between wildlife, and that is a problem. Fortunately, the birds and the butterflies can go across, but not the mammals and the reptiles.
Wow.
So yeah, it is really a problem.
So
there's no reason to be that way.
So how do you feel, BJ, on how we can change these conditions and these political views by sharing these books?
Well, I think that if people, I guess I'm an optimist. I feel that if people really understood how we acquired these regions, and then you value the culture that's there and see it as perhaps like the Canadians and the French culture, you commingle, you coexist with a great deal of, camaraderie. That's what we should really take a look at along our southern border, because, we have so much in common, and yet there are political people that want to create these dichotomies that really cut people off from each other. It's not good.
Yeah. So do you feel that it's like a fear tactic that's being used?
It is. And let me tell you about the triangle trade. The triangle trade, people understand from history, the 18th century, was slave, sugar, cash, slave, sugar, cash. The 21st century triangle trade is drugs, cash, and military hardware like AR-15s and guns. Now, everybody understands how these kinds of armaments impact Americans in the schools, in the shopping malls, et cetera. And I'm not gonna say anything more about that, but I agree with it. But what they don't realize is that when the cartels sell the drugs to the middlemen in Chicago, in Atlanta, in New York, they bring back cash. And what do they do with that cash? They buy guns like it's going out of style in Texas, where you can buy just about anything without a license or any kind of impediment. And then they take those guns to Mexico, Central America, South America, and reinforce the regimes that the CIA was so instrumental in the 20th century, in right-wing juntas, military states that create chaos. So my book talks about that transmigration of weapons that you can so easily get with money from Texas and take it to Mexico, Central America, and South America. It creates havoc. So if you stop one of those, for example, if you stopped drugs by legalizing them and creating a taxing system like we did with liquor during Prohibition, you stop it. It becomes legitimate and has legitimate paths of delivery, etc. If you stop the sale of weapon grade munitions, you stop the trade. So it's a tri-corner trade. If you stop one, you stop it all.
Yeah.
Take your pick. It's like a menu at a diner.
But I think our biggest thing, BJ, is there's not enough awareness. There's not enough people speaking out on these things, right? And that's how we bring change, is by bringing awareness, because if the public doesn't know, how do we change things, right?
Mhm.
When we hear it
Yep.
on the news, we change it. We can't wait for the news to always give us the resources and give us the information. We ourselves as individuals have to start researching and looking into things and reading books and reading material, watch different shows and ask questions. I am a firm believer. We need to start asking questions on everything. If it doesn't sound right, doesn't feel right, like start asking a question and saying, hey, like I never knew anything about this triangle trade. I'm from Canada, but maybe, but I'm learning as we're going and as we're serving tea today. And for all the listeners and viewers out there that are watching the show now or watching the replay later, what we're trying to do is we're trying to open the eyes of the eyes of awareness, and give you guys a cup of tea of education to teach, to bring awareness that we all can make a change. And I think BJ can make a change with these books. And this is an incredible series. And you can grab all of these books on Amazon, as she stated earlier in the show. And BJ, if you could make these into a movie, would you turn them into a movie?
Absolutely. I'm thinking of the new 2022 revisiting of Tony Hillerman's books, Dark Wind, which is about the native Navajo tribes. Absolutely, that would be a very similar series that would open everybody's eyes to these particular situations, as Tony Hillerman, when he was alive, opened people's eyes to the Navajo Indian reservations.
Well, and I think that film also opens a lot of doors and awareness as well, because if somebody can't read, then they can watch a film. There's different ways of seeing it. And your promo video for your books are amazing. Like, I don't know who did it, but truly amazing. It's really eye engaging. It's really intriguing. It keeps you on your toes, suspense, thriller. You're like, oh, let me see more, like, give me more. So, and that was just a few minutes. And I'm going to play that video again before we close up the tea time later on in the show, so that you can see this incredible promo and go out and grab a book. And like BJ said, maybe it's not everyone's cup of tea, but it might be your cup of tea. And it might be what you're looking for, or the answers that you're trying to understand. I'm learning so much from you right now, BJ, like all of these different things, like the dark wind and stuff like that. It intrigues me, because without you sharing, I would not know. So, and that's what I do at Tea Time, is I just open the doors and open the ears and minds for people to be aware that there are different things out there that we don't know about. Like, I never knew about BJ until BJ reached out to me. I didn't know about BJ's books, but again, having you sit with me and share your tea today and share your books with me, it's really a true honor to sit with you and get to know these facts, because I think we need this education. We need this awareness, and we need to know the truth and the stories, So I think it's a good time to ask you, BJ, what is your tea?
My tea is Tejas está avanzando, which means Texas is moving forward. And when Texas gets back on track and move forward, hopefully in the next election in November, then we can be the dynamo that we once were economically and socially. So I'm optimistic by saying that Texas can move forward.
I like that you're optimistic, because I'm that kind of person too. I kind of like to have that open mind that there can be change, there can be a move forward. And I really like it. You're my first Spanish tea, so I love it. Like I say, every cup of tea is different. Miss Liz always brings a different serve and a different flavor to the table. So for the viewers that are listening out there right now, BJ, and that will watch the replay later, please put in hashtag where you're tuning into. I do have you on LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter right now. So I did find a way to do that. So we got you all over. So anyone who is tuning in and leaving comments or questions, please let me know where you're tuning in from. And if you'd like to reach out to BJ, you can connect through me, and I will reach out and give your information to BJ personally myself. But BJ, what would you like to give the listeners and viewers of the youths out there that are hearing about the Borderland series?
Yeah, I would invite anyone to explore our area. It's very much part of me. And so when I think of the borderland, I think of my whole experience and just reach out and embrace it. It's a wonderful area, full of wonderful people with a different language that's easily picked up. It's part of the Romance languages of French and English and Spanish. And I think you'll find a diversity that you can embrace.
Now, for any of the Border Patrol officers that are out there, what message do you have for them? And we will keep it civil, really, because we don't want to cause any political rampage here.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think they just need to be a lot more humane and understand people as they try to immigrate into this nation. I think they wrap themselves in laws, which they have to. They're sworn to uphold the law, but they really need to wait for the coming of the new laws. And I think they'll be very capable of enforcing those, but they're kind of hamstrung right now. And they were very hamstrung during the Trump administration when they were not acting very well. So there's really nothing the Border Patrol can do right now. They have to wait for the new legislation. But once that's in tow, it shouldn't be a difficult thing for them.
So you said they have to wait for the new legislation to make changes?
No, legislation. Mm-hmm.
Legislation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There goes my French tongue. It's kind of pronouncing it's just right. Sliding away.
That's right.
So why do they have to wait for that?
Because they're sworn to uphold the draconian laws that are now in place. There's really nothing they can do but do what they're sworn to do. But there are ways of implementing laws that are a little bit more humane. I mean, getting into the Rio Grande with their horses and rounding up people that are trying to move across in the water does not set a very good image.
So why do you feel that the Texas and Mexican border is so heavy and so hard?
Because of the past,
okay.
Because of the present. So there's things that need to be fixed.
Well, it goes along with everyone's journey in life, right? We all have a past, a present, and a future. So, if right. Our past has been really rough and hard, and our present, we're taking baby steps, but in the future, we can really make a change, and that's exactly what T is, it's the past, the present, and the future is, it's just taking that time to educate ourselves and be aware that there are changes that need to be made. And, and we all can start being a little bit more humane as well. I'm big on humanity and love and peace. I truly don't believe that we're going to get it in this lifetime, but I do think we're going to get
I'd agree.
I think we'll get a little bit, but I don't think we'll have complete peace. And that's my honest opinion is from what I see for all the division and fear tactics that are going on worldwide with many different things. I feel that we're not going to have world peace. We're going to try our best, but I don't think it's going to happen. And that's Miss Liz's honest opinion. So it's not somebody else. That's how I feel. And as a humanitarian, I feel that we'll get a little bit, but we won't get complete peace.
Think of it as neighbors. We get along really well with Canadians. Why can't we get along with our Southern neighbors as well?
Exactly. Seriously. Right. We're all brothers and sisters. We're just different. We're all just, and we're not really different. We're just raised in different atmospheres and environments and situations. And, but we can all come together at the end of the day. We don't have to start dividing. You're from this country, you're from that country. We can actually bring people together by understanding people. and that can start with the borders too, is understanding that people want to just enjoy life. They just, not everybody is out to be a terrorist or come and attack your country. They actually want to know about your country. They want to actually understand your country, and we all need to start understanding that we're all here to offer something different, right? And we all
Right.
can make a difference. And that's exactly what you're doing with your book series, is you're making a difference. You're bringing the awareness, you know. So what book out of the 3 books did you enjoy writing the most?
Well, the first one is the introduction, and it sets the pace for everything. There'll be 6 books altogether. And I'm writing the 6th one now. But Hallelujah sets the pace. It sets the personality of the 4 federal marshals. They straddle 2 different worlds, every one of them, and they're indicative of the borderland, which are multicultural people.
Did you just say you were on the 6th book?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so we don't even know what 4 and 5 is yet.
No, I do, and my publisher does. But it's yeah.
So is there plans of those books coming out this year or next year?
They'll all be on Amazon by the end of the year.
Oh, wow. So there you go. She's going to have all of those books out there. So incredible reads, and maybe some schools out there that could use these books, to educate the students as well, bring some awareness and how they can change. I always say that the youth are our next generation, and they are going to make the difference. So if we give the awareness to the youths, I think that they can start making the changes for us. Us adults, we're a little tipsy. We're a little upside down. Let's give it to the youths. The youths can fix this. And I think we really need to start believing in our youths a little bit more. And that is, so BJ, what message would you like to give to the younger generation out there?
I think they're doing a good job, certainly a lot better than mine. Just be yourself, because I think you have a lot of possibilities without my guidance. I think a lot of the young adults, this is for adults, these books, not for children.
So it's okay. So it's rated at a certain age. Okay. So youths, I'm not trying to be mean or anything out there, but Miss Liz, we'll give you a couple years and then you can grab a book.
But they can be young adults. That's fine, and they, they're doing a really good job. I know how everybody was critical of me, during the Vietnam War and everything, and I'm not going to be that way with any of the next generation. They are what they are, and they're doing a great job. I don't see them making war on people.
So BJ, a little bit more about you. As a child, you said your father was a patrol officer. So I'm sure you've seen a lot as a child as well, right? Going back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you like to share with the viewers out there about your experience as a child of a patrol officer?
Okay, some of that is in short stories on my website. You can pick it up.
Okay.
But we moved every 2 or 3 years. So we moved. El Paso was not now, but it used to be the place, the Border Patrol Academy, but it's not anymore. And so we lived in El Paso, Presidio, Marfa, Pecos, Corpus Christi, Kingsville, Brownsville. We just spent my whole life running up and down the border with his stations. Yeah. So I don't, it's just a different experience.
And I guess that's hard on a child as well, right? And the constant moving and all that.
Yeah, I think so. We never had roots. Our roots were the Rio Grande and the culture, which was not anybody else's culture. So, yeah, it was a different life, but I wouldn't trade it for anything else,
So you just mentioned, I was paying attention, and you mentioned that you have short stories on your blog. So if the viewers would like to check
on my
that
website.
on
Yeah,
your website,
Mhm.
and they can check that out on your website as well, right?
Right. There are two groups. One is the childhood, and if they like the books, there are short stories that I call in between the books that give
Okay.
you a snapshot of the characters, and the characters are characters. Gabriela Zamora, who's the leader of the team, is an illegitimate child of a border patrolman and a professor. Her second in command, Alex Ranslow, is a gay person. And Sam De Silva, the culture on the border is Spanish.
Okay.
But his family recently figured out through DNA and through other things that they were Spanish Jews, Sephardic Jews, in the 18th century that were forced by the Inquisition to convert to Catholicism. And that was lost. That whole Jewish heritage was lost until recently. And then he converted back to Judaism. And so that's discussed. A lot of Jewish Mexicans are along the border. Most people don't know that, but their roots are in the Inquisition in Spain in the 18th century. So they're not just kind of two-dimensional. They're very three-dimensional people. And so the short stories are about them as little snapshots and kind of enhance the characters a bit more than what you find in the book that follows the mystery on each book. And they're personable. So
your target audience for these books would be who, BJ?
I just asked a consultant in marketing that question last week. I thought my target market were the young adults, 18 and over. But I find that there are older people, such as myself, that might be interested in them if they have a more open outlook. Because it does talk about the difference in religion, the difference in sexual orientation, and how to cope in really serious situations and some funny situations as well. Again, they're not two-dimensional characters. They're very multidimensional.
Well, you have to add a little humor, right, on these heavy topics. Like, if you don't, then you're getting really heavy, and you're getting really, really, and we need humor. Sometimes we just got to laugh off the silliness because it's so silly that it just doesn't make any sense, right?
That's right.
So I'm really learning a lot today with our tea time. I'm learning about the triangle trade. I'm learning about the dark wind. I'm learning that you have some other books that are coming out this year. So I'm learning a lot of little tips and tools here. So for the viewers and listeners out there, if you have any questions or anything, please leave them in the comments. And if you can't leave them in the comments, please reach out to me, Miss Liz, or reach out and I will get them to BJ personally if you have any questions on that. And BJ, I really want to thank you for coming and taking the time to sit and have tea and actually making me get out of my comfort zone and try and Zoom. So you just never know. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise that that we have to sometimes get out of our comfort. And Miss Liz sometimes needs to just push herself as well. But when things are meant to happen and things are meant to go through, you find a way, We went through the technical issues. We went through the Miss Liz learning and going and pushing the buttons, but we got the message out and we got the stories out there. So I really
appreciate you giving me this opportunity where the opportunity would not have been so forthcoming in a red state like Texas. So I really appreciate that.
Oh, not a problem. And I am happy to help you any way I can. So again, if you'd like to grab any of BJ's books, you can check out. And they are all on Miss Liz's Facebook page, LinkedIn, and Instagram. I believe I also have the links up there. They are on Amazon. So if you're interested in grabbing a copy, I'm sure BJ would really appreciate that. And please leave a review, because that's how you really help the writers and the authors, is if you leave a review, because then they actually know if they need to dig deeper for the next book, or if they need to add more, or they need to add less. Sometimes a review will actually help the author and writer decide what's coming in the future. And it actually makes an impact, and it actually makes a difference. So BJ, for all of the listeners out there, what final message do you have for them before we wrap up your tea time?
Well, I wish you happy trails. And if you're interested in the border, follow that trail,
And could you share with the listeners again what your tea is?
Sure. Tejas está avanzando, which is Tejas is Texas, esta is moving forward.
Thank you so much. And I really appreciate that. So I'm going to throw up BJ's incredible promo for her books again, so you guys can check it out. And again, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in today on Tea Time. And I will see you Thursday with another tea. We will be talking to Dr. Emotions, Ed Dubé. So Dr. Ed will be joining me in studio, and we will be talking about how our emotions affect our lives and how we can live our lives without our feelings. So it should be an interesting discussion. There's a lot of things that Miss Liz has on board for Mr. Dr. Ed Dubé. And then after that, we will be finishing up the month of July with, we will be finishing it up with wellness. So we will end it with emotion, start with emotions next on Thursday, and then we will end next Thursday with wellness. So check out those tea times. And on Wednesday evening at supper time, you will see the guests that are coming for August. And there's many different incredible flavors that are coming again. So again, thanks each and every one of you for tuning into Tea Time with Miss Liz. And if you like what Miss Liz is doing, give me a little subscribe button, click the like and follow me. And I will keep you posted with some incredible tea times. So let's get that video back up, and then we will close this tea time up. And I want to thank you again, BJ, for taking the time and serving your tea. And her tea time is Texas is moving forward. So let's get Texas moving forward. And let's get the video up so you can check out the incredible work that this woman is doing. Okay, where did that video go? Let me see what happened to it. Did I close it? And we will get it back. Okay. And we're gonna get it going here. There we go. I got it. Miss Liz has got it. She's just needs a little bit of push sometimes. Okay, why is it doing that? Okay. That's BJ's incredible poster, but that's not what I want. I want the video. There we go. And thank you again, VJ.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.